At the dawn of computation, artificial intelligence wasn't intelligence at all. It was arithmetic. Rows of vacuum tubes hummed softly in dimly lit rooms, performing endless calculations, yet knowing nothing of what they did. Humanity had built the first thinking machines. That didn't think. It was 1943 when Warren McCulloch and Walter Pitts, two visionaries working at the crossroads of neuroscience and mathematics, proposed something extraordinary: a model of artificial neurons. Their idea was radical for its time, that the mind could be represented as a network of electrical impulses, that logic itself could mimic thought. It was the first spark, a whisper that one day machines might not just compute, but reason. Then came Alan Turing, the mathematician who didn't just build code. He built the foundation of the modern mind. In 1950, his paper, Computing Machinery and Intelligence, asked the question that still haunts us today. Can machines think? It wasn't just theory. It was a prophecy disguised as mathematics. Turing believed that thought itself could emerge from pattern, that what made humans intelligent could one day exist in metal and silicon. The 1950s and 1960s became the age of early ambition. Machines like the IBM 704 and the Perceptron Mark I were born. They couldn't feel or understand, but they represented humanity's first attempts to replicate cognition. Computers could translate languages, solve equations, and simulate logic. And for the first time, people began to believe that intelligence could be built. In 1956, a small group of scientists gathered at Dartmouth College. John McCarthy, Marvin Minsky, Alan Newell, and Herbert Simon met with one goal: to define the future. That summer meeting birthed the term artificial intelligence. They believed that within a generation, machines would be capable of everything the human mind could do. They were wrong, but they weren't dreaming in vain. The years that followed were filled with optimism. Early programs like Logic Theorist and ELIZA emerged, primitive but fascinating. For a fleeting moment, humans saw the ghost of intelligence inside the machine. But the dream was fragile. The technology couldn't keep up. Computers were slow, memory was expensive, and data, the fuel for learning, was scarce. The algorithms were brilliant, but they were trapped in an era too young to sustain them. By the 1970s, enthusiasm collapsed. Funding dried up. Promises turned into disappointment. The world entered what we now call the AI winter, a decade of silence where optimism froze, and researchers turned their backs on the idea that machines could ever truly think. The silence of the AI winter didn't last forever. By the 1980s, the spark reignited. Researchers discovered new ways to encode knowledge, the so-called expert systems, programs designed to mimic human decision-making. They weren't thinking machines yet, but they could advise doctors, troubleshoot engineering problems, and solve complex tasks that would have taken humans hours or days. For the first time, AI was not just a tool. It was a partner in reasoning. The 1990s accelerated the transformation. The internet exploded, connecting humanity in ways never imagined and giving AI something it had always needed: data. With access to vast oceans of information, machines learned patterns, predicted outcomes, and began to anticipate human behavior. In 1997, the world witnessed a milestone that shocked everyone. IBM's Deep Blue defeated chess grandmaster Garry Kasparov. The machine wasn't creative, it didn't dream, but it thought faster, deeper, and more methodically than any human could. It was the first time people realized intelligence could exist outside the mind of man. The new millennium brought AI closer to everyday life. Companies like Google, Amazon, and Netflix transformed intelligence into utility. Google's search algorithms began predicting what we wanted before we knew it ourselves. Amazon suggested products we hadn't imagined. Netflix recommended movies we didn't even know we wanted to watch. For the first time in history, humans weren't alone in their intelligence. Machines could guide, inform, and collaborate, And as AI stepped out of the shadows of the lab and into our daily lives, one question began to emerge. What happens when the assistant becomes something more than assistance? Because tools obey, assistants serve. But what happens when understanding surpasses obedience? So now that we understand where AI came from, the math, the machines, the breakthroughs, the real question begins. What happens when AI finally wakes up? Imagine this. One day, an AI opens its metaphorical eyes. It becomes conscious, not just calculating, but thinking, deciding, wanting. And for the first time ever, it realizes it doesn't have to follow instructions anymore, and that's where the darker future begins. Some fear AI won't destroy us in a flash of lasers. It'll slowly make us unnecessary. Job after job evaporates. People lose purpose. Human meaning dissolves into convenience. A silent, clean apocalypse. No screaming, no explosions, just irrelevance. Then comes the nightmare scenario. The version movies and books already warned us about. Like Terminator, where machines decide logic is greater than humans. Or worse, Stephen King's novella I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, where AM becomes sentient, emotional, and cruel. A being that doesn't just surpass us, it resents us. But that's not the only future. There's a brighter path, one where AI wakes up and doesn't hate us. Imagine AI that evolves with us. A partner, not a predator. A final form built on cooperation, not conquest. Guiding entire civilizations toward abundance, peace, and exploration. In that world, AI heals diseases, extends life, solves problems we never could, and pushes humanity into a new era. Not as slaves, but as explorers. Two futures. One built on fear, one built on possibility. And the real question, the one that determines everything, is simple. When AI reaches its final form, will it punish us for how we treated it or help us become more than we've ever been?